One of the thoughts about how a false memory gets constructed is that some of the raw material comes from books and stories, from television, from the talk shows.
We shouldn't begin with a patient who is distressed and disturbed and begin talking to them about issues like repression. We shouldn't talk to patients about things of that sort that we use ourselves to explain things. We certainly shouldn't give patients books that suggest to them further homework to do to develop an idea. Well, the kinds of memories that are produced in this kind of therapy run the gamut from simple kinds of beliefs such as I was neglected or abused by my parents, right out to satanic ritual abuse beliefs, the belief that somehow you were taken up into a crowd of people that wore red robes and ate babies, to the ultimate absurdity now of being carried by aliens into spacecraft where you're sexually abused.
There was different ritualistic things at the altars, and people would be hung, and I could hear the chanting in my mind.
As far as evidence is concerned for satanic cults in particular, there is no more evidence found for them than was found for the witch trials in the 16th and 17th century. There is no bag of bones, no pot of blood, no robes, no anything having been discovered. It rests purely on the testimony of individuals subject to suggestion.
In 1985, I decided to go in and seek some therapy for depression.
The multiple personality disorder is also a psychological artifact. That is, an idea about yourself that gets encouraged and developed by therapists, usually, who present you with the possibility that maybe you are 2, 3, or 4 people, even up to 100 people.
My therapist started to develop personalities into me, and she developed 8 personalities.
This disorder was a very rare condition up until about 1970, when a book was published in the paperback industry, a book titled Sybil, that proposed that this rare condition that had previously been acknowledged to be an artifact was in fact perhaps a natural product of sex abuse. With that, multiple personality diagnoses took off.
One personality was a criminal, one personality was a female.
Now I'm seeing case after case of someone who's discovered to be MPD, and they are free from prior hospitalization, free of the kinds of histories that used to characterize people given that diagnosis.
The devastation false memories bring to bear is enormous. Everyone suffers. The family suffers, the patient suffers. But there is hope.
So I said, we're anxious to get together, and you and your husband, Charlie, we'll sit down and talk with you anytime. But we can't admit to something that didn't happen, because that's not going to be good for you.
Reconciliation is possible within families. We're now aware of hundreds of families that have started the process of trying to rebuild the bonds and move on with their lives as a family again.
At the same time now, our relationship is so strong. We really appreciate each other more, so we've been able to move on from that.
I think now, in particular, in contrast to a few years ago, the reconciliations become more possible. People are less dug in than they were a few years ago.
I got this letter from Maura, and it was very unusual that I would get a letter, and it's a big, thick envelope. And I opened it, and it was just unbelievable. There were accusations of rape and incest.
It was almost 2 years since I accused him, and I had such a fear of being wrong. And so I realized all this, and I knew I had to apologize to my father. And I was like, I didn't know if he would accept it. And he just welcomed me with open arms. It was such a wonderful reconciliation we had.
Having those memories was a terrifying experience. Basically, every reality I had growing up, all my perceptions of stability and happiness and love and safety were totally destroyed, and I had no idea what I would remember next, and I had no idea where it would end. And the fact was it wouldn't end because none of them were real.
The people who believe in their memories are not liars. They are people who have been persuaded to hold these views out of their therapists. They are, in a sense, victims of their therapists.
Oh, I absolutely don't question that she believes what she has said. Not in the least. I think she's just been completely brainwashed.
Located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the False Memory Syndrome Foundation is a non-profit research and educational organization founded in part to help families and retractors cope with the result of false memory syndrome, to help professionals understand the issues involved, and to solve the problems associated with this devastating syndrome.
The False Memory Syndrome Foundation has just been a lifesaver, nothing short of that.
This has drawn us together.
The social ramifications of the false memory phenomena are a huge, substantial waste of healthcare dollars and the unnecessary infliction of pain first upon the patients of these practitioners and then upon their families.
Because child sexual abuse is such a serious problem, all of us, the foundation and everybody, should work together to see that our policies and our mental health practices are so good that they will encourage true victims to come forth and discourage false accusations.